Yeah, I want your number.
Really? No,
What?
I'm
This your,
good. I'm good. I'm so good.
you said this is your brother?
No, it's my man.
Oh.
Seriously.
Oh shit.
You're not gonna say nothing. You're fine if I give him my number.
I don't see no.
Yeah, sure.
So this video popped up about a week ago showing a man approaching an attractive woman in a supermarket, and this woman's with her boyfriend. And maybe it's real, maybe it's staged, doesn't really matter. But in this video, the boyfriend doesn't react, and the girlfriend appears disappointed. And eventually, she even gives the guy who approached her her number. So what's going on here? What was he really supposed to do? It feels like a no-win situation. If he says, "Hey, that's my girlfriend," he looks insecure and possessive. If he stands back, as he did, in order to let her turn the guy down, she feels like he's not defending her. The guy wasn't really rude, and he remained polite throughout. And by all means, it should have been her job to decline his interest. But it's one thing to intervene if he's harassing her, but he wasn't. So what's he supposed to do as the boyfriend? First, let me start by saying I don't think there's a single universal list of instructions that would work with every scenario and every woman. A lot of women have a huge complex about needing a man to prove that he is willing to be forceful and violent in claiming her as his own. They would expect a man to go chest to chest with any potential opponent and getting in his face saying, "Hey, that's my woman, get away from here." And that could very well lead to violence. And that's what some women expect, just like movies and romance novels told her to expect. And in their mind, the only reason a man wouldn't do this, that he would refuse to get confrontational, is because he's intimidated and he's a coward. So let's call this group of women morons, because they're utterly divorced from reality. Most men know that there's a time and a place to use violence, but violence always carries a risk of someone dying or having some life-changing injury. All it takes is for someone to fall badly and hit their head, causing a bleed on the brain, and they're never waking up. So it's the sane men, especially men who spent years learning martial arts. They're the ones who are most capable of violence, but they're the most careful and solemn about its use. And they're still aware that if someone has a knife or a gun, that could change the outcome completely. And they're not going to jump in some escalation because they know that even if they would likely win, they value life, their own lives and the lives of others. And they also don't really want to spend time in prison just to service some woman's fantasy ego competition. So I think he was right to avoid escalation. But what about the woman? Didn't she have a responsibility to say that she's not interested? Well, yeah. If you're in a relationship with someone, it's an entirely reasonable boundary to expect them to not give their phone number or contact details to someone who is clearly sexually interested in them. However, in my experience, there are a lot of women who go out of the house thinking that they're never going to cross that boundary. They're not planning to give their number out, but then they do because a guy approaches them. They're attracted to him. They're impressed that he's got the bravery and confidence to approach her. And in the moment, she gives her number to him. And I know this because when I was single and doing a lot of approaches, I got the number or Instagram of a lot of women who only later told me that they had a boyfriend or were married, sometimes after they had met up with me. I remember that some women I took on a date a few months before would then post on their Instagram on Valentine's Day, "Another year together," heart eyes, smiley face. Now granted, there are many women who are conditioned to be people pleasers, so they give their number out, even if they're doing it just to end the conversation. Now we can call this type of woman weak. Because trust me, the vast majority of women have absolutely no problem telling a man that she's not interested in that she's not interested. So there's plenty of reasons for this guy in the video to end the relationship over this. But we see something worse than people-pleasing here. She gives the other guy her number out of spite. Now, gentlemen, You do not want to deal with a woman who threatens the relationship or gives her number out when she's angry, because there will always be times when you have arguments. There will be times when you don't feel as close as you do sometimes. If she just acts on whatever she feels in the moment and doesn't have the executive function to stop and think of the long-term implications of her actions, she's objectively not relationship material. Same as the morons who expect you to fight. And there's also a subset of morons I forgot to mention who will start fights and expect you to take over. These women are not worthy of your time and energy. So don't take them seriously. Let someone else make that mistake. I'd advise on totally avoiding them. Losing them is simply the trash taking itself out. It's a blessing. In this particular circumstance, assuming this guy wanted to continue with his relationship for the time being and also to diffuse the approach, he could have simply confidently jumped in smiling with something like, "Hey, nice approach, but she's taken, she's with me, but good effort," and then put his arm around her and walked away. The other guy would have almost certainly received that well, and if he didn't, well, then it wouldn't be the boyfriend's fault if he had to escalate. Finally, let me add something even more important, and it is this. Find women who have realistic expectations and who respect and value you and your relationship. The ones who would turn down another guy because they're committed to you, whether or not you're there with her. There are women out there who will, but you likely have to sift through and reject many in order to find them. There's a lot of dysfunctional people out there. Well, that's all I have time for right now. I hope you got value from it. And if you did, please hit like and send it to someone who would benefit from it. Thanks very much.